All right. So we are live. Kenn Rashad, HBCU Sports live with another pop up edition, midnight style of HBCU Sports Live. Um, don't ask me why I keep doing it. I just felt the need to do it. And just a couple of things that popped up on with on the timeline today that, to be quite honest with you, I just really couldn't keep to myself. I felt the need to discuss it. Um, One of the things, if looking back at some news that took place earlier, uh, we reported Harris Stowe is has entered into a partnership with the St. Louis Cardinals to renovate the historic Stars Park baseball facility, which goes back to the days of the Negro Leagues. And that is through a joint partnership with Harris Stowe and Major League Baseball. You can read that story on HBCU Sports. Allen University has announced that they are officially making the move from the NAIA to the NCAA Division II. Good for them. Good for them, especially at a time when people are making all of these changes. We'll leave it at that. But good to hear about Allen. I guess the question for them now would be what conference, if any, are they're going to join. I'm guessing it's just simply a matter of time. I'm guessing what, CIAA or SIAC, given where they are geographically. But congratulations to Allen University for making that jump. It's a long time coming, and I'm sure those the alumni there are pretty excited about that move. But what I really want to talk about is the recent news we've been hearing about outbreaks at football facilities. Tennessee State announced that they are going to play an 8-game all-conference schedule for 2020, assuming that they can actually get a schedule that they can actually play football this year. That obviously remains to be seen. There was initially an 11-game schedule that included Southern and obviously Jackson State with the Southern Heritage Classic, and Clark Atlanta, who obviously put the season on hold or canceled the season. The SIAC and the CIAA made that announcement jointly, and I'll get to that as well. But the major news right now of the moment is Florida A&M is reporting that 9 student athletes have tested positive for COVID-19. And this happened today, that the report came out. And the reason why this is so disturbing to me is, when you put in consideration where we are right now with this pandemic, and when you put in consideration that we appear to be nowhere close to having signs or showing signs that the curve is going to flatten, I find it awfully amazing that some of these programs literally had student athletes working out. I really do. According to the FAMU release that came out earlier, there were 65 student athletes who were tested over a period of 3 weeks. One of the individuals supposedly were tested off campus or wasn't on campus, and as a result, stayed at home. But it was initially reported that they all 9 were members of the football team. The athletic director, Courtney Gaucher, said that was not the case. But the release did say that of the student athletes who tested positive, 2 live in the residence hall and 7 live off campus. Okay. But these individuals started coming in, I believe, Sunday? And, I look at this, and let's not forget, there was a case. There's news that several student athletes at North Carolina A&T tested positive last week, or a few days ago, or whenever that was. So this isn't the first time that we're hearing about student athletes testing positive for the coronavirus at HBCUs. And I guess I find this kind of ironic because I'm actually on record with Sports Illustrated indicating that HBCUs, you're not going to hear about any student athletes testing positive at HBCUs because we care about our student athletes that much. And yet, since that time, there have been two cases, two different HBCUs who've reported that their student athletes have tested positive for coronavirus. And so when you put that factor into consideration, you literally have to ask the question. And this is a popular term that that people have been kind of putting out, on the news about individuals, how coronavirus is being politicized, and depending on what side of the aisle you're sitting on, or what your beliefs may be, that you're going to ignore the science, or that people are ignoring the science, and they're constantly or purposely going out into stores, into malls and shopping centers, literally just going out and doing whatever it is that they want to do. Just completely doing it. And that, that's pretty troubling. Mike Lee, I see MEAC HBCUs. I guess you want to differentiate yourself from it. Okay. Well, fair enough. But here's the thing that I find ironic, because the two cases that we know of involving student athletes at HBCUs are North Carolina A&T and Florida A&M. And I don't want to get petty with this. This isn't a laughing matter by any means. But when it comes to athletic programs, or we know athletic programs are ignoring the science. We've heard about the outbreaks at Clemson, at Alabama, at LSU, and at various PWIs throughout the country. We know they are ignoring the science. And I don't want to make light of this, but don't you find it somewhat ironic that North Carolina A&T and Florida A&M, they literally have science in their names, and yet you ignore the science and you encourage your student athletes to come out and have workouts? Why? If Clemson couldn't do it, if Alabama couldn't do it, if LSU couldn't do it, what the hell makes you think you can? What can you do that they can't? It makes absolutely no sense. I hope you didn't make them sign waivers. What were you thinking? And, while we're at it, I need to kind of throw Miles College up in there too. Because the CIAA and the SIAC jointly got together and, decided that they would go ahead and cancel off all sports. Rightfully so, by the way. It isn't a decision that they just took lightly. They got together on it. They talked about it. And look, and I understand from a financial standpoint, I get it. When you put in consideration the impact that it can have, and I'm not trying to diminish the impact that this is going to have, but damn it, if Black Lives Matter, then show it. And they did it. But for whatever reason, Miles College felt the need. Well, look, the CIAA and the SIAC may be canceling fall sports, but we reserve the right to change our minds, or we reserve the right to move forward with fall sports if we think that is necessary. Why? Why would you say something like that? When at the very best you could do is say, you know what, we're going to suspend sports just like everybody else. Use the word suspend. If you cancel for the fall, well, that's fine. You can cancel the fall, but you can suspend fall sports because chances are if things, take a turn for the better and we start to flatten that curve, then guess what? Because we love football, right? You're going to try to play football in the spring. Just say you're going to suspend sports for the fall. But why would Miles College? Why would you be cute and say we reserve the right? If the CIAA, if the SIAC says they're not going to play football, then that's majority of the teams right there. Who the hell are you going to play? And if you're going to play football, who are you going to play against? And if you play, how many games can you play? And when it's all said and done, what does it mean? What do you gain? Are HBCU athletic programs ignoring the science? Because right now, that's what it seems like you're doing. And we're supposed to be better than this. If you say you give a damn about the student athletes, show that you give a damn. But don't encourage student athletes to come work out in Florida of all places. You're the damn hotspot of the world, not just the United States, the world. And you got a lunatic governor who is completely ignoring the science, and yet you insist on having student athletes come in there to work out. What sense does that make? You don't have to be a scientist to know that just doesn't make good sense. I've heard some people say that, I've heard some people say on social media boards and so forth, and including the forums at HBCU Sports, they would make the comment, whose son's going to have to die before you take this seriously? Because apparently them testing positive isn't serious enough for you. Somebody's going to have to die. I saw a headline today. I couldn't really believe it. Someone said something. I believe it was someone, and I read this. Ed Orgeron. If that isn't a shining example of folks ignoring the science, I think he said something along the fact that we need to play football despite the pandemic. I'm paraphrasing it, but he said, ignore it. We need to play. Our student athletes need it. Our state needs it. The nation needs it. We need to play football. That's what he said. In the article that I read said something, I believe it was Mike Pence was like clapping his hands, cheering. Who supports shit like that? That makes no sense. And I want to make this clear. I'm not gonna, I'm not calling any names because I'm not just someone who cares about the well-being of student athletes. I'm also a parent of a college student who has made the decision, and I get it. He's driving, he's going nuts trying to stay in his house. He wants to go to school in the fall. And I'd be lying to you if I told you my wife and I aren't nervous about that decision, hoping that by the time that dorm room opens, the curve will flatten enough to at least give us some level of, security or hope that things will be okay. So I'm not just saying this just for the hell of it. I'm not just somebody who doesn't have a vested interest in all this, but we have to be better than this. We have, given all that's happened right now, with the unfortunate result of George Floyd, we for the first time, we don't know what's going to happen, but we finally have student athletes that are looking at taking a strong, serious look at HBCUs. We've already seen it happen in basketball at Howard, and now we've got football play. We've got there was an individual who went from graduated from Texas and to play baseball. Is going to Texas Southern. We're seeing this happen, and we've been echoing. HBCU, we take care of all. This is where black students, if you want to see a unique experience, you need to go to an HBCU, because HBCUs are going to look after you like no PWI can. No disrespect to the PWIs. I'm not saying you don't care, but that's not the point here. You guys know what I'm talking about. And yet we got A&T and Florida A&M saying, come on, let's go work out. We got to work on that. We got to take that step. This is where it starts. We got to make that MEAC run. Rhonda K. Neal, what college? My son goes to Grambling. Just to put some clarity on that. All right. So, I'm interested to hear your thoughts. I know pop-up edition. I'm sorry if I'm a little passionate, but I expected better of these institutions. Tennessee State today, like I said, made the announcement. We're not gonna reschedule those non-conference games, but we're gonna play an eight game schedule. I get it. I look, and again, I'm not going to be critical of one person, because I understand that, one person can't necessarily make these decisions. I am very much aware of the financial impact that this has. But for those institutions who have taken the steps, or those conferences that have taken the steps in saying that they are going to suspend fall sports or cancel fall sports, I commend you. Miles College, shame on you. Shame on you. I don't know what the hell you think you can do that Clemson and LSU and FAMU and North Carolina A&T have already proven that they could not. What the hell can you do? And dangling out that little carrot saying, you know what? We reserve the right to move forward with fall sports if we see it, because we understand that's an important part of the college experience. Come on, man. You got to do better than that. To get some response. Both the SWAC and the MEAC have $1 million elephant in the room called a Celebration Bowl. You know what, Jimmy? I get it. Like I said, I don't dismiss the fact that that there's a financial impact. Look, I'm not going to sit up here and be critical of anybody or any program that as of now has not necessarily made the decision to cancel sports. I get it. The Celebration Bowl obviously is the carry, but they're regular season games that these programs rely upon. In the case of in the case of Tennessee State, they're going to feel the pinch of those canceling those three non-conference games against Southern and Tennessee State. Reported $750,000 in lost revenue just from two games. Man, that's a big deal. So again, I'm not taking the financial impact lightly. But there is something bigger than finances at stake here. There are people's lives here. There are people's lives at stake. Let me see here. Trent Harville, I agree with you about Miles. I'm hoping that the MEAC and SWAC will do the right thing and cancel or suspend as well. I think I read a report earlier today that Dennis Thomas indicated that the MEAC is probably going to have to make a decision within the next week or two. I think I read that in the Baltimore Sun today, and that's fine. The MEAC, I mean, the SWAC, like I said, they announced the drop dead date of October 17th. You know, that's a plan. That's the plan. And I get that. Like I said, these schools and conferences are not necessarily making that decision late, but I'm okay with that because if you look at, I believe Tennessee State's with the games now that they've canceled. I think their first game starts at around September 23rd. I think it's like the third week of September or something like that. But the SWAC is saying the drop dead date is October 17th. And I'm guessing by that time, the SWAC may not necessarily even have to make a decision because based upon what those individual members' schools are doing, we're talking about, state-supported schools. Chances are these schools are going to probably know before October 17th what they will or will not do. No, Rhonda, my son does not play sports. He does not. He does not play sports. So, that's my rant for the moment. I felt the need to ask this question: if HBCU athletic programs are ignoring the science, because your actions show that you are ignoring the science. I'm ashamed. We're better than this. You guys have a good night. See you next time.